Hello everyone, my name is Kieran. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the first Newport County pre-match podcast of the season. Doing it a little bit differently than we did last season, a lot more of a learn about whatever club we're playing. And I'm delighted to be joined by Dylan today, as he will be talking about Forest Green and what was a, let's say, eventful season last year and a hopeful, positive one this season, I'd assume.
Fingers crossed.
No, I'll go into the negatives quick. You know, don't have to stay on this one for too long. What went wrong last season? Because, of course, you finished 24th. You had the lowest scoring team. I'm pretty sure it was the highest team in terms of goals conceded as well. So what went wrong?
A mixture of things, really. Realistically, you know, and you'll know that yourself, if a team goes up, the key players will have interest in higher divisions, and that's what happened. Ebu Adams was a key midfielder for us in our promotion. He went to Cardiff, Nicky Cadden went to Barnsley, the list goes on, really. Especially with Rob Edwards, you know, look at him now, Premier League manager with Luton, and losing him was a massive, massive blow to us. You know, we just lifted the trophy at Mansfield, and then 3 days later, he goes to Watford. So great start already going into a League One. Then it was the appointment of Ian Birchnell, a manager that just lost to a semi-finals in the National League playoffs with Notts County, and you know, if you ask majority of Forest Green fans, we were unsure with him. And going through the season, the football was boring, it was slow, it wasn't competitive enough for League One. You know, we can't fault the quality in League One, you know, in that league that year, Derby, Sheffield Wednesday, etc. So Forest Green versus, you know, these big calibre teams that have been in the Premier League before and played in the Championship, we were going to struggle, and we knew that. But I think the bigger factor was how late of a sacking Ian Birchnell was. When Duncan Ferguson came in, it was January, he had 3 days left the transfer window. He had 2 players brought in, and it wasn't enough for him to have his own team, for example. It was still Ian Birchnell, and he had to use that. So that's what really went wrong.
I mean, yeah, it seems to be a depth of a lot of things. And you mentioned that you had a lot of departures going into League One. You've had quite a few departures now that you've come back down to League Two. Just a couple I've written down is Ben Stevenson has left to join Pompey. Regan Hendries went to go join Tranmere. Luke McGee's also went to join Tranmere. But you've also brought in a couple of decent players from what I've done. In terms of research, Ryan Ennis from Charlton, Matty Taylor from Oxford, Jacob Maddox from Walsall. Are you satisfied in the business you've made now that you've come down to League Two, or do you think there's still a lot more you'd need to make in order to push up the table again and fight for promotion?
I still think there's a few. We'll look at the attackers, and yes, we brought Matty Taylor back in. He played for Forest Green many moons ago, and he was really good then. But we look at Matty Taylor, he's not as quick as he was 4 or 5 seasons ago. As I say, he's that kind of player that's come here to retire, basically. So he isn't going to have much impact. We got Matty Stevens back. Obviously, we loaned him out to Walsall last season, and he's already got 2 goals in 2 games, which is, you know, huge. We love Matty. He's a huge player within the squad. Then we've got, if I can pronounce his name right, Tyrese Omotoyo. I guess that's right. I'm not too sure. Another attacking player.
I wrote his name down and I had no idea how to pronounce it either, so I haven't went into trying it.
Half the players, my pronunciations are really bad, but we got him as well. But the past few days, there's a player that's been chucked into the mixer, and I think you see you nodding, and I think you know who it is. It's Troy Deeney.
Yeah, that's such a bizarre one.
It is
I don't
really,
know where to go
really. It it's really, really bizarre. If he signs, yeah, really good. But I don't know. I'm not too sure with Troy. Really don't know. Not too sure. But we'll see how that plans. But I'd rather attacking striker come in who was quicker enough, because Matty Stevens, yeah, he's pretty quick, but we need a player who can be consistently quick throughout the whole 90, or an impact sub to come on who can take Matty off and add that extra pace and that goal scoring, because that's what we need really in League Two. Otherwise, I'm really happy Marcel Lavin here from Swindon, as you said, Ryan Innes. Luke Daniels as well is a big name who we signed, and what we've seen so far after the Swindon game on Tuesday night, he was, some saves were unreal, and his positioning. We look very solid from the back. Maybe another defender in, but otherwise midfield's all right. And I already predicted mid-table finish for Forest Green. I think there's a bit of a rebuild going on with David Horseman coming in charge.
Yeah, I said roughly. I said that you'd finish a lot lower than potentially mid-table, bottom range of that. I never said you'd be in a fear of relegation, but I suppose you've answered the next question I was going into with the season ambitions. So I'm assuming mid-table now, potentially fight for promotion in a few years' time.
Yeah, but it depends how the season plans out, because we're so happy with what we've seen so far with the style of football we've seen from Horseman. It's something we haven't seen since Rob Edwards days. And it's quite exciting for the fans, but is that consistency there yet? We're not too sure. Horseman's been here less than a month. He's still got players to gel, etc., getting to know the squad and the squad being confident. But then we've got the likes of Wrexham, Notts County, Gillingham, loads of teams in that top 10 that can easily, you look at Wrexham and County, they're struggling at the moment, but as soon as that rhythm kicks in, you are going to see a huge impact, and this is where I see Forest Green maybe struggling. As I say, it just depends, because injuries could hit or bad run of form, but I've seen a lot of people put us to go down. I think there's a whole lot of worse teams in a whole different situation that are a lot worse than Forest Green. So I do think your opinion on us being where I can see that. And for me, mid-table, that's just me being ambitious. And that's what I want to see, just because what I've seen so far this season.
I mean, yeah, I can see what you mean in terms of there's so many teams higher up that can be in the playoff push, the promotion push, everything else in between. I said there was probably about 12 teams that you could predict from first to 12th, and it has the chance of going that specific way. So I guess we'll go into your first 3 games, starting off with a 2-0 loss at home to Salford. What went wrong in that one? Because I've heard a lot of Salford fans kind of complain about injuries and maybe not the quality that they'd want. So what went wrong for you on the opening day of the season?
To be fair, you better asking someone who was there, because I wasn't there, sadly. I had work commitments. But from watching the highlights, I think it's one of them. I believe it was 2 mistakes at the back that cost us the 2 goals, which I've spoke to many Forest Green fans who are my friends, and says it could have been anyone's. It could have been a draw, could have been a win to Forest Green, but it obviously went to Salford. So, but I've seen a lot more people say the performance that we played against Salford, we were much better than Salford. It was just the product of getting the ball in the back of the net that let us down. But obviously, you've got to speak to a person who was there, because obviously it's hard for me to really give an opinion on what I saw. But what I saw on the highlights, we were playing decent football. It's good to see, but obviously you can't pretty much do anything after a loss, really.
I mean, no, not at all. I've seen that in the opening 3 games of the league, I believe you've only actually scored 2 goals. So is that a thing that a certain Troy Deeney you think could fix that, or could it be another one of the things of he's not going to have the ambition to play to the best of his ability, and he's rather here as a retirement player, because we've seen a few players drop down the leagues to do that over the years.
Well, there's many more players in the league that have done that. McGoldrick's here as well. He kind of same caliber. Deeney, that target man who's had that experience before in the higher divisions. Them 2 goals have come from Matty Stevens, and that, as I said, Matty Stevens is a huge player for us. You can already tell we've already scored 2 goals this season. It's come from Matty, but yeah, we do need that extra striker. Extra pace, etc. I know Deeney won't have that. It doesn't really have the legs anymore, but Deeney's that impact striker that we need to come off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you could really hope for, right? Based off of the current goal tally and what you've mentioned of being able to create chances and not put them in the back of the net. Very similar to Newport in a lot of ways in that regard. So you were talking briefly about your current manager that you've signed ahead of this season. Are you confident in him as well as the board and coaches that you've got going into this season?
So far, I am happy with the appointment of David Horseman. There's that kind of buzz again round Forest Green. It's good to see after a year of misery and a lot of pain, kind of bring your fans back together. We're seeing some good work in football, as we say. It's progressive, it's attacking, it's really good to see. So I'm really happy with Horseman. Apparently there's a coach coming in today. Don't know who exactly, but his assistant as well is coming. I think what is best for us as well, Horseman and his assistant are local. They know Forest Green, they know the ins and outs. So I think that's what a club needs, is a person that does know the club well.
Yeah.
So that's why I see Horseman being the best manager out there for us, and I can see him being the man that, and I might jinx it, I know it won't happen this season, but can take us back up to League One.
I mean, yeah, there's always the ambition of a club that's been recently relegated from League One to immediately bounce back. We've mentioned how many rotations you've had, how many signings you've had, and we'll just go, instead of going further towards the end of the season, we'll go to the game on Saturday. The last time we played each other at your ground, I believe it was a 2-0 loss, in where Matthew Stevens actually ended up scoring 2 on that game. So what are your score predictions for that? Because the recent form suggests probably a Forest Green win, but the actual head-to-head is 7 wins for Forest Green, 7 draws, and 5 wins for Newport. So it's pretty even, but where do you sway on that? Is it optimistic, or would you, I don't know, potentially take a point out of that?
I'd say I'm pretty optimistic, but it depends how it is on the day, really. We're quite similar already at the start of the season. We're both on 3 points, both on basically -1, -2 goal difference. And I've seen that William Albert Evans has scored 3 goals already this season. That could be a threat towards us. And you sound Harry Charsley,
yeah.
And say he's a really good player as well to have. And I think it'd be a good competition for both sides. I have written down 2-1 Forest Green. What we've seen this season, I could see Newport scoring first. I don't know if you'd be happy with that, but I just see them Forest Green progressively getting into it. Then I'm going to go Mike Stevens with 2 goals again, because why not?
God, he's such a lovely player to play against. But I am towards the ambition that you gain your points at home. You get your 3 points at home games. If you're away from home, you're trying to, get potentially a point. If you can get 3 points, that's absolutely brilliant. So I've said 1-1, but either way, I'm kind of stuck on what to predict, because both teams, like you've mentioned, about such a similar form and they've got kind of similar ways of playing away. So I suppose the final question that I'm going to ask you here is, how would you line up your team if you were Forest Green manager for the game on Saturday?
Oh, top of my head as well. Right. Daniels in goals. Lavener. Innes, more Taylor. Testing me now. Robson. Midfield of McCann and trying to think who else. I'm really struggling. I know Bunkney got sent off, so he won't be there. We'll go Teddy Jenks. Matty Stevens up front, obviously, and I'll probably put Matty Taylor beside him. You've really put me on the spot here. This is where I should really do my research.
You know what, I'm actually impressed that you've got that work. Because any time I'm asked to put a lineup out, I'm like, I don't know, same one as last week, I guess.
I've had an attempt. Yeah. I'll probably, a load of Forest Green fans are going to be ripping me head off saying, no, this players in the wrong positions, but you try, do it off the top of your head on this spot.
You know what? It's something that I could. I'll ask you a bit of a different thing then. In terms of potential formations or ways you would go on to play, how would you go about that?
I'll stick to the 4-2-2. I think in League Two, it's vital to play these kind of formations of the 5 at the back, the 3 and the 2 up front, and the 4-2-2. I think it really suits League Two with how many teams set up. So for me, 4-4-2. And with how compact Forest Green Stadium is, and the pitch, for example, we've seen with Edwards, he uses the pitch size to his advantages to bring players out. So I can really see the wingers and the fullback, right back and left back, switching a lot. Making runs centralised, playing the balls into Matty Taylor, Matty Stevens. So you will basically, this is just legit possession-based football, building it up, dragging players out and playing the ball through and creating as many chances as you can, basically.
I mean, that seems to be quite the counter opposite of the way Newport are playing, because what we've seen in our Doncaster game, and probably the good majority of the first half against Crewe, was don't really care if you have the ball and you're able to work it well, but you're going to be running towards players who are playing a high press kind of a way of football. So it's going to be interesting to see how two different variations of football are going to play against each other, because it either goes, in my opinion, like the Doncaster game now, where we are consistently pressing you and we could hold out for a draw or a win or whatever else, or it could go like Crewe, where we can't break you down for the first half. We get tired, then you're able to create stuff in the second. So it looks very much like a game of two different teams. You've got a hold the ball and a press the ball. So it's going to be one I'm excited to watch. But yeah, I think that's all the questions I really have. Is there anything else you want to add on the game before just kind of ending this up?
No, I think it's all been pretty much summed up there in our actual conversation there between us both. But really looking forward to it this weekend. Be a good competition between us both.
Yeah, I believe it's the ground we're closest to. I'm not sure if it's the ground you're closest to. I'd like to say Swindon might be closer, but not 1,000,000% sure. It's always called some form of a derby over here, so that's always great fun.
Definitely.
But yeah, that's where I'm going to end it here. Thank you, Dylan, for stopping by and taking time out of your day to have a talk to me. Is there anywhere that we can I can kind of link your content and people can go check the stuff out that you produce? Yeah,
I'm on TikTok. I film Forest Green based content. Try to do as much League Two, but it's mostly Forest Green. You can find that at Dylan Banks 42. Otherwise, that's really it. Really, my social media I use to promote anything I do. So, but no, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, I'll make sure to put the links to Dylan's things down in the description. I thank you all for watching this. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you did enjoy it and you want to see more podcasts in this kind of fashion in the future. Support the channel whatever way you see fit using the links in the description. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this, and let's just hope for my sake, Newport bring the 3 points back after the disappointing result against Crewe.
Take care.